عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على حي على حي على حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله إن الحمد لله نحمده تعالى ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبد الله ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا فصلوات الله وسلامه عليه. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد. Islam is beautiful. However, beauty, if you don't approach it, if you're not close to it, you tend to disregard it. You forget about it. You don't recognize it. For example, if you have a chain of mountains, one of those mountains could be more beautiful for whatever reason. But if you're 10, 20, 30 miles away, each mountain looks the same. You cannot distinguish between the beauty of each mountain. But if you get closer, and the closer you get, the more beauty you see in it. And the Quran is the same thing. Islam is the same way. If you are distant from Islam, you say, okay, what's the difference? How is this any different than any other religion? What does it benefit me? You don't know, because you didn't approach it. You didn't analyze it. You didn't look at it. You didn't apply it. And therefore you lose the beauty of the Quran. And to show you a little bit of that beauty, I want to talk about the word Sharia. What does it mean? The word Sharia, okay? The one that we hear on every news media, Sharia law, and they make it seem like it's a settled law which aims at oppressing people and cutting heads off and spilling blood. Let's look at what this word Sharia means in the Arabic language. It comes from the root shara'a, the verb shara'a. And this verb has a few meanings. Number one, if it's used as a noun, it means equality or the same. Okay, so me and so went shar'an, right? We went together at the same time, equally, right? If me and so drank from a well, the same amount, we use this verb to say that we drank equally or at the same time. None of us had more privilege over the other. That's one meaning. If we use it as a verb, it means to begin. It means to begin on a path, on a way. And that's why today in the Arabic language, the word shari'a, which comes from the same root, means a street. It is a path, right? And the scholars, the classical Arabs used to use it to refer to a path or a stream of water, a path of water, because it is clear and well known to all people. Everyone knows that the water is there because water was scarce back then. You know, there weren't these faucets and this plumbing to give us water, put it directly in our homes. They have to go and find certain areas which people would gather by and drink water from. So it was called a sharia, a water path in which people go and drink from, because it's well known, it's clear to all people around so that they can benefit from it, right? So if we take all these meanings and we analyze why Islam, why the Prophet ﷺ, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose the word sharia, وَلِكُلٍّ جَعَلْنَا مِنْكُمْ شِرْعَةً وَمِنْهَاجًا, and for each of you, referring to the prophets, right, we gave them a sharia. What does it mean in Islamic definition? It means a way of life, a path that is clear, that is clear-cut, that is accessible by anyone. Everyone has the ability to access the sharia. It's not for one group over another. No one has privilege over the sharia over someone else. So look at that beauty. It is clear, it is well known, it is accessible by anyone. Anyone who looks at the sharia, studies it, wants to know more about it, has equal access to it, right? And if you add the water element, because it used to refer to a path of water, water gives life. Water is the source of physical life. And the sharia is the source of spiritual life. So it gives you life as well. And that is sharia. Look how beautiful that word is to represent our religion, to represent our Quran, our way of life. And to give more insight about the beauty of the Quran, which is the source of the sharia, I want to draw our attentions to a few verses in Surah Al-Waqi'ah, towards the end, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِمَوَاقِعِ النُّجُومِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here takes an oath. And the purpose of an oath, right, whether in English or Arabic, is to emphasize that which the person is trying to say. Right? So when we say, man, I swear I didn't do that. Why do they add the I swear part? To emphasize. Believe me, I did not do that. So when the sharia, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes an oath, He makes an oath by something, by a creation that we can accessibly look at. We can look at it and understand its greatness, right? Its power. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes an amazing oath. بِمَوَاقِعِ النُّجُومِ, the places of the stars. Look at the stars, how well placed they are, right? Unfortunately, with all the pollution, we don't see much, but alhamdulillah, we have YouTube to look at it. Look at how the stars are placed. And look at the purposes of the stars that we benefit from. Stars are constellations. There are certain stars that are always in the same place. And people used to use it to navigate, right? So it was a source of navigation for them. Likewise, it beautifies the sky. And the Quran beautifies the one who applies it. They become beautiful. And the most beautiful of people were the prophets, right? And then the companions. رضوان الله عليه وصلوات الله وسلامه على جميع الرسل والأنبياء. Right? They were the most beautiful people because they most perfectly applied the Quran or their book. Right? It beautifies the individual. So like the stars, how it beautifies the sky, the Sharia, Islam, the Quran beautifies ourselves. It beautifies our outer image. It gave us wudu, right? To make sure we're always clean. Ghusl. It told us to cut your nails at least once every 40 days. We do more, alhamdulillah. It taught us hygiene. So it gives us the outer beauty and the inner beauty of good manners. And the third purpose of stars is that it shoots down jinn trying to steal information from the sky, right? So the jinn would stack on each other to hear what the angels are saying. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would send a meteor or a star to shoot them down so that they don't take it. And likewise, the Quran shoots down misconceptions and deviations. So if a deviation starts popping up in a society, the Quran debunks it. It shows that that's wrong. It burns it. So this is the purpose of the Quran. So like you look at the stars and benefit from the stars, you find the same benefit from the Quran. And like the stars and its greatness, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed it with wisdom and with strength, no one else, nothing else can do that. That means the one who gave us the Quran gave us the best of the best. That's the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking an oath by all these stars in which we see. And then says, وَإِنَّهُ لَقَسَمٌ لَوْ تَعْلَمُونَ عَظِيمٌ. And it is an oath if only you knew how great it was, how amazing it is, how expansive it is. Now back then they didn't have what we have in technology. They didn't know the massive universe that we live in. And the billions and billions, trillions of stars that are formed. And all these constellations and solar systems. Right? Look how great that is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created it. And it's nothing compared to Him. It's nothing. This is the oath Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking for what's about to come. Right? And who knows what we will discover in 10 years in terms of this universe. And in 20, 30 years. So this oath is a great oath. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the stronger the oath is, the more He wants us to pay attention to what's coming up. Because when someone takes an oath, he takes an oath for the sake of something. He just doesn't say it. And what's he taking an oath by? إِنَّهُ لَقُرْآنٌ كَرِيمٌ. That this Quran is a gracious Quran. That's the oath. That's the oath he is taking. All the stars and the skies and the universes, right? All these solar systems and constellations, they represent that greatness is a little bit of the Quran. He's making oath by that greatness so that we know the value of the Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us one attribute of the Quran, that it is Kareem. It is generous. It is gracious. When you learn the Quran, it gives you so much. But only if you learn it. And not only that, it gives you beauty. The word Kareem is also used to represent beauty. Yusuf alayhi salam, when the women saw him, مَا هَذَا بَشَرًا إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا مَلَكٌ كَرِيمٌ. Right? His beauty is generous, it's gracious. Right? For how much beauty he has, we are benefiting from that beauty. And that's the Quran. It is beautiful, it is generous, it is gracious, it gives you. It gives you and it gives you, and no matter how much you study the Quran, 1400 years, this Quran has been around more, yet we are still benefiting from it today. Every one of us is benefiting from the Quran today. How much can the Quran give? And isn't that a sign that the one who revealed this Quran, this book, is the one who created the universe? But brothers and sisters, in order to benefit, to get from the generosity, the graciousness of the Quran, you need to learn it. And I want to take a moment to answer a question I get a lot. How do you know which sheikh, which imam is right? Right? Today we live in a time of chaos in terms of our religious institutions and our back home. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of gray area. We don't know what's going on. So how can we distinguish? Is there a way to distinguish between this person, what he's saying is correct, and that person, what he's saying is incorrect? This person is on the straight path, and that person is a deviant? There are a few criteria we can look at. Number one, look at who, not what, who they are calling to. Who are they calling to? This book calls us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We pray 5 times a day for Allah. We fast for Allah. Therefore, the ones who call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are on the straight path. But those who call to a group, to a party, to a person, that's not what the prophets came for. The prophets didn't call to themselves. They didn't say, worship me. They didn't say, follow me. They said, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made those prophets a means to reach Him. Right? So we learn from the prophets how to pray. We learn from Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam how to pray, how to fast, and all these things For the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not for the sake of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So look at who they are calling to. Number two, look at their public image. What I mean by that is that they sit in front of people and they answer questions. They don't not answer questions. They don't say no question and answer. Or they don't say just write it down on a paper and send it to me so that he can differentiate between that which he knows and that which he doesn't know. Because when people are asking, they ask questions from right and left. Deep questions and very simple questions. If they can answer it in front of people, then know that they're not that strong. They could be great people, but they're not scholars. Right? That's number two. And number three, Allahumma salli wa sallam ala nabiyyina, give salat to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Number three is that, pass my mind. So those are two criteria. Number three, what is their study? Where did they study? Who did they study on? And what did they study? Right? This is important. Some people, and I noticed this back home in Jordan, people use big names to promote themselves. Right? They would use the name Al-Albani, rahimahullah, right? A great scholar of hadith in Jordan. Ibn Uthman, Ibn Baz, Abdullah bin Bayyad, these are great names which we have much reverence for. We love them very much. They are scholars. But people will say, oh, I'm the student of so-and-so, right? That's fine, that's great. What did you study on so-and-so? Because simply seeing someone does not make you a scholar, right? You need to learn. Ask the person, what books do you study on so-and-so? Not just that you studied on so-and-so. What books did you study, right? Because there are certain laws, even in any science, that anyone needs to know. A scholar of biology needs to know simple things. A scholar of math needs to know the order of operations, right? Or he's not a scholar. Likewise, Islam is the same way. It is a science. And that's why and please understand what I'm saying correctly, the most mischievous people, the biggest problem makers amongst the Muslims today, all right, the ones who create division, the ones who create deviations, are those who say, I take directly from the Quran and Sunnah. I'll repeat that. The Muslims who create the biggest problems today are those who say, I take directly from the Quran and Sunnah. Not because the Quran and Sunnah make problems, but because that individual is not qualified to take directly from the Quran and Sunnah. That's why. Imam Abu Hanifa and Malik and Shafi took from the Quran and Sunnah because they were qualified to do it. Right? Today, you don't find that. So if someone says, I only take from the Quran and Sunnah, that person put it, in terms of Islamic knowledge, don't take from that individual. Because they're not qualified to. Right? And all scholars for the past 1400 years, even the biggest names, always followed a scholar prior to that individual. Even Ibn Taymiyyah. You know, a lot of people like using the name Ibn Taymiyyah, and he was the revolutionist, and he did this and that. I only take from the Quran and Sunnah. Ibn Taymiyyah followed Imam Ahmad. He always followed scholars, and he said, and I use this name, Ibn Taymiyyah, because he's always used for this methodology, right? I'm just going to take from the Quran and Sunnah. Ibn Taymiyyah said, he would say, this is my opinion, if someone before me said it. Meaning if someone before me didn't say it, throw it away. It's not worth anything, right? So when people come and say things that for the past 1400 years have never been said, throw it away. Please, do yourself a favor and throw it away. Because today, people aren't smarter than yesterday. And if what he's saying is true, someone before him would have said it. So when you get these crazy opinions, right? So those who say, I take from the Quran and Sunnah, you have the far rights and the far lefts. The ISIS who do this, and you have the far lefts. Those who say that hijab is an obligation and, you know, income tax is zakah. If you pay income tax, that's your zakah. Right? It doesn't work that way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said zakah is for these 8 categories. إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتِ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا to the end of the verse. Zakah is only, look at the wording, only for the poor, right? And these 8 categories which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lists in the Quran. You can't come and say it's income tax. That's okay. Income tax doesn't go for those things. Even if it did, the consensus of scholars, zakah is given to Muslims. You can give charity to non-Muslims, but not zakah. So be careful from who you take this religion from. Because if you take it from the wrong source, it becomes a burden on you. It becomes a source of confusion for you. You lose the beauty of the Quran. You lose the generosity of this sharia. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. So that's the first attribute, the first description Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us in this series of verses of the Quran, that it is gracious, it is generous. Number two, في كتاب مكنون. It is in a hidden book, or was in a hidden book, what we call al-lawh al-mahfuz. Right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created the creation, He created the pen and told the pen to write. The pen asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what should I write? He said, everything that's going to happen. And this tends to be a source of confusion, which I get the question a lot. The idea of predestination, how does that work? Right? How do we understand predestination? Is everything that we are doing written before? Right? And therefore we are doing it because it has been written? How does that work? Didn't the Prophet ﷺ say in a hadith that's agreed upon its authenticity in Bukhari and Muslim, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will gather our creation in the stomach or the womb of our mothers, right? And then He will send an angel to blow the soul, and He will tell the angel to write his provisions, his actions, his life, his lifespan, and whether or not he's going to be a pious or a non-pious individual. So why are we doing? First of all, know that the Sahaba asked the same question. Your confusion does not make you a bad Muslim. The Sahaba asked the same question, and the Prophet ﷺ answered gently. You're not a disbeliever for having this question on your mind. Alright? So it can be confusing. So what does it mean? I don't have much time, so I'm going to summarize it. Think of it this way. Most people understand predestination as meaning Allah wrote for me to do something, therefore I did it. That's not the way it is. You are going to do something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote it because you are going to do it. He just wrote it before you did it. So why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala write that, for example, Tarik on this day, at this time, is going to be giving a khutbah and saying these words? Because I was going to do that. Not because He forced me to do it. Does that make sense? He wrote things down because that's what's going to happen, not because He dictated it to happen. So we choose our own actions. No one can deny this. No one can go in front of a judge and say, oh, I killed that person because Allah wanted me, or Allah willed it. You can't blame me for it. That's insanity. And everyone knows that that's insanity. We don't know our destiny. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't force anything upon us. He told us to do. He gave us the tools so that we reach Jannah, so that we reach His love. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us in that goal. Okay, so I hope that clarifies. If you have any other questions, please feel free to ask me. لا يمسه إلا المطهرون. There's another quality of the Quran, that only the pure touch it. The angels. Meaning this Quran is preserved. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to preserve it. And it will always be preserved. It's His promise. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He promises something, He never goes against His promise. So when He sent this Quran down, He sent it with Jibreel, who is pure. Ameen, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes Him. Right? So no, He didn't make a mistake by going to someone else. He gave it to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay? And He gave it the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed it. But we take from this that when they approach the Quran, they approach it in physical purity, right? Out of respect for the Quran, to make sure we have wudu when we touch it. And number two, with good intention. We approach the Quran to learn from it, to reach what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. We worship Allah because He told us to worship Him. We pray 5 times a day. We come to Jummah because He told us to do that. We worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on His terms. We don't worship Allah on our terms. So when you approach the Quran, or when someone approaches the Quran, don't approach it and saying, my intellect is going to understand the Quran. Yes, we use our intellect to understand the Quran. But we understand the Quran based on what Allah wants, not what our minds or what our whims want. And for those who approach the Quran and say, oh, this is logic, and I understand this is logical, and this is relevant, and this and that. One question to that individual. How can you differentiate between your logic and your whims and your desires? How do we know what you are saying is based on logic and not based on your whims? Can you guarantee that? When someone comes and says, zakat is income tax, that suffices, are you saying that because you want to get away from zakat? Or are you saying that because you truly believe that? Can you differentiate that? What's the criteria? The scholars put an order of operations for coming to Islamic fatwas, so that there's consistency and there's not randomness. So order of operations comes from math, right? So yeah, if you have the equation, 3 plus 3 times 3 minus 3, right? Again, 3 plus 3 times 3 minus 3. We take multiplication first, right? In the order of operations. So it becomes 3 plus 9 minus 3. 3 plus 9 is 12, minus 3 is 9, right? Now, if someone wants to disregard order of operations and say, look, logically we should start from the left and go to the right. 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 times 3 is 18. Minus 3, that's 15. How can you say it's 9 and not 15? People who make mistakes make that order of operations, right? Why should I follow the scholars? Well, there's a reason why. So that there's consistency and there's not this randomness. Now imagine a world without order of operations in math. Look at accounting. What would happen in accounting if there wasn't order of operations? You would come to the conclusion you want to come to. And then there'll be chaos. Likewise, the Quran is the same way, the Sunnah, the Sharia is the same way. There's an order of operations you need to follow. You cannot just say based on your own intellect, right? You might be smart. But you know what? Einstein followed the theories and the laws of the people before him. There's a reason for that, to make consistency. So that he doesn't say whatever. So number 3, the pure approach to the Quran. Be purified spiritually, your heart needs to be purified, and your mind and your physical body. And finally, تَنْزِيلٌ مِّن رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. It is sent down from the Lord, the one who disciplines, the one who takes care of you. He's the one who sent it down. Therefore, what's in the Quran is here to take care of you, to give you a better life, to give you what you need, right? To make sure you live healthy. And just because something is a taboo or something is strange in a society does not make it irrelevant. Just because it's seen, perceived as strange does not take away from its wisdoms. So this is the Quran, this is the Sharia which the Lord, the one who takes care of us, the one who manages our affairs, sent down so that you can benefit from it. We have a few announcements. Make dua for the baby of Habiba, who is having an open heart surgery today. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it successful. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give the parents the patience and the courage to deal with their rough time and make it a source of to take away from the sins. And also make dua for Rafiq Rahmanji, who passed away at the age of 25. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant their parents patience. And that's quite difficult. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward them for their hardship. OCIF's first session on Muslim funeral and burial is tonight at 7:30. Guest speaker will be answering all your questions about funeral and burial services. Babysitting and refreshments will be served. My OC family hiking trip is on Saturday, November 4th, in Aliso Wood Canyons Wilderness Park at 7 a.m. A waiver form must be signed by participants. This is being hosted by my OC, but all family members and all members of the community are welcome to come. Again, that's a hiking trip on Saturday, November 4th at 7 a.m. At Aliso Wood Canyons Wilderness Park. If you'd like to attend, please sign the waiver form. Thanksgiving Interfaith Project with Temple Beth El and Shepherd of the Hills Church is on November 19th. We are asking donations today, so if you can help us out with that, to cover the cost of food, to package 200 packages for the less fortunate in our local community. Right? So we're helping out the community, putting the word of Islam out that we help. We are part of society, we do good, just like anyone else. So help us with that project, donate for those needy individuals. Pillars Academy has spots for infants, and registration discounts are available. Students are selling lemonade and dessert outside, so please stop by and support the school. There are other events coming up, such as the mass convention and the CARE banquet. Information's outside. There's a lot of announcements today. I can't go through them. But any other information is outside and on the TV. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us guidance and to show us the beauty of the Quran. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to purify our external bodies and our internal hearts. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us forgiveness and guidance. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات يا رب العالمين. اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا، وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا، وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي إليها معادنا، واجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير، واجعل الموت راحة لنا من كل شر، وأقم الصلاة.